Welcome back to another Mackem in the Middle podcast after another Sunderland game. First one of 2022. Of course, the Fleetwood game was postponed, which was due to be played on the 2nd of January, but it wasn't. So this was the first game of the year away to Wycombe. A tough game. Everyone knew it would be a tough game going into it, and I think a lot of fans, especially with the COVID situation, would have been happy with a point. We did get a point, finished 3-3, with plenty of talking points. A lot of positives, a lot of not necessarily negatives, but frustrating parts of the game as well. And I'm joined by Kyle to talk about it. Just the two of us today, Kyle. But hope you're doing well enough after what's happened.
A little tired. Got to get up at about 5 o'clock in the morning for these ones and, get set up. And boy, it was almost worth it. But it always is. It always seems to be these early ones that I leave and I'm just like, not only am I tired, but I'm a little disappointed.
I think if there's one word to describe Sunderland in the last 5 years, it would be almost. You've got the Checker Trade final, which we almost won. You've got the playoff final, which we almost won. Today's game, which we almost won, somehow didn't win, which obviously we'll get into. There's a lot of almost about this club at the moment, isn't there? I say at the moment, in the last few years.
Oh, yeah, it definitely has. But, like you said today, I think there's a lot to analyze, and we got a good glimpse at some of the, just some of the different players we have on the squad and where we can play them and whatnot. And, yeah, today was another almost effort, but almost really, really good. So,
yeah. Obviously, going into the game, there was talk about whether the game would get postponed up until kind of morning yesterday. I think it was kind of early afternoon that Sunderland revealed that they had recalled Jack Diamond, Patterson and Josh Hawkes from the loans because we had, I think it was 4 or 5 players missing with COVID. Obviously, Kimpioka, who hasn't played too much this season, but he has been in and around the squad. O'Brien, Diaku, Hoffman, Burge, Bailey White, who was injured for the game today. Plenty of players injured. Sunderland, Lee Johnson, Speakman, whoever makes the decision could have quite easily just said, no, we're not going to play it. Do what a lot of other teams have done and kind of take advantage of the situation and wait for the first teamers to get back into the fold and essentially give you a better chance of winning the game. But we didn't. And that's probably a good thing for Sunderland. It shows the confidence that we've got in the players that were playing today and the players in and around the squad that haven't had the first team opportunities they might have hoped for. But there's a lot of confidence in the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's credit to us to, like you said, make sure the game went on. We have the depth just barely, just by the skin of our teeth, really. And, had to recall, poor Notts County is probably like, suffering a little bit. But, that's why you have players to go out on loan, right? Because they stay ready versus, even just keeping them on the bench or maybe U23s and stuff. It's not the same as, Jack Diamond's experience or even Patterson, who saw, make a great save on the PK for Notts County.
Yeah.
And so
against Phil Parkinson's side as well, which was a bonus.
I love it. So I think that's the important thing when we, a lot of times we ask, why are we sending these players out on loan? I think that's why, because I think they stay a little bit fresher. They stay more ready, especially in a season like this. I mean, it just shows the value of having the depth that we have. Even though it's a little in shambles at the moment in some positions, but I think today was probably going to be our toughest test with that, and I think we fared pretty darn well.
Yeah, well, obviously, it finished 3-3, and we'll get into the goals very shortly. There's plenty to talk about the goals for Sunderland and the goals for Wycombe as well, including the timings of the goals, which is probably the hardest part to take of today's result. But going into the game, as I said before, with the squad, very, very depleted. It was depleted enough in the last few games. Today was even worse in terms of who was available and who wasn't. A point away to Wycombe, who are one of the toughest sides to beat in this league, whether you agree or like to see their play style, which in fairness to them, I don't think was as noticeable today. I think they did kind of try and play the ball a little bit more than they have done in previous seasons. But going into the game, a point wouldn't have been a bad result.
I guess I just hate Wycombe. I just hate them. It's just they've always just been that constant, thorn. And actually, we've actually fared pretty well against them. I think I just hate them mostly how they got promoted. They got promoted off that. but there's not really anyone else to blame except for us for that. But yeah,
Or the
no,
AFL.
Right. In all seriousness, yes. Like we'll probably look back on this and say that was a point earned, definitely. It's just the way that we had those 3 points in the bag. It's just, and we'll get to that, I'm sure. But yeah, it's gladly take a point from this. As I think somebody pointed out in the Twitter thread as well, that Rotherham and Wigan both have only taken a point away at Wycombe too. So I think that,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we're right on pace with that.
Yeah. And obviously, one of the things, to get promoted from League One is the points per game total, which, again, going back to the season that got curtailed quickly and prematurely, was how Wigan got promoted. They had a good points per game ratio, better than ours, which is why they got into the playoffs and eventually won it. But with that point today, it keeps us at 2 points per game, which obviously, if you average that out throughout the season, gives you 92 points, I think it is, 46 games in a season, 2 points per game. So you get 92 points, which I think I saw a stat the other day, which that would have got you promoted in 13 of the last 15 League One seasons. So, at 25 games into the season, we've got 50 points. We've played some of the tough teams, away to Wigan, which we won. No, sorry, at home at Wigan, which we won. It was away in the Cup. Away to Rotherham, which obviously didn't quite go to plan, but that one's out the way. Away to Wycombe, which is, again, one of the toughest games in the league. It still puts us in a very good position going forward. And obviously, we're in the January window now. We've got players seemingly coming through the door. We'll have players coming back from injury. We're still in a very good position.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it would have been nice to maybe see, is it Trey Hume
I think it's
out
Trey.
there? Yeah.
Before he signed, I said try, but
Yeah. It's got
I
to be
think it's
Trey.
definitely Trey.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think our business is done yet. And just like you said, I think it's important to see some of these other players get in. They have confidence right now, which is really important. And, the signings that we make really should just be providing a little bit of extra depth, a little bit extra strengthening, of the lines here. But yeah, overall, I think the point was really, really well earned, really back and forth game, and probably one of the best games of the season, honestly, even for a neutral, if anyone watched that. And I think it was worthy of being on Sky. It's just, why is it always on Sky when we play a team like Wycombe, who absolutely makes it their Super Bowl, so to speak?
Yeah. We'll get into the goals. Sunderland, as they have done, I think it was. I'm not even going to try and remember the number. Plenty of times this season, took the lead inside the first 15 minutes. It was actually inside the first 4 minutes, I think it was, that we got the goal. It went down as an own goal, and it definitely will stay as that because it technically wasn't even a shot on target if it hits the bar. But Dennis Serkin gets the ball, a very, very good cross in the middle for Stewart, wins his header. There's questions about whether it's a foul. Sometimes it might be given, sometimes it won't. This time it didn't, luckily for us. But it's a good header. Like I said, probably is just off target, but a very good start to the game for Sunderland.
Yeah, and like you said, Serkin's one of these players who has been out for a while with injury. Really nice to have him back. I think he played really well today. Maybe could have been a little bit better with some of his final balls there, but that one was perfect, and it came at a great time. And a lot's been said about Broadhead being out, right? And we obviously do miss having that option, but Stewart just thrives in the lone role. I mean, you could just see the amount of extra space that he has in some of these runs, and we'll get to it on his other goals as well. It was just class. I mean, he got there, timed it well, and yeah, right off the post, and then right off the backside of the keeper into the goal. So great way to kind of get the ball rolling in a positive direction.
Yeah, and not for the first time this season. Once we scored, the opposition did improve, and we slightly regressed a little bit. I think Wycombe started to take control of the game a little bit more, create some chances, and got the equaliser. And very similar to some of the other goals that we've conceded, not just today, but in other games. You look at and think, is there anything you can really do with that? He's cut inside. You could argue that you've got to show him on his weaker foot and show him down the line where you can't really offer too much of a threat. But he's cut inside. He's hit the ball. Patterson makes that save, but it takes a deflection, takes it away from Patterson. Like I say, it's just one of them goals that you kind of, there's just not much you can do about it.
Right, a very Wycombe goal. Right,
Yeah.
it's just very scrappy. It wasn't pretty by any means. Obviously took a little bit of a deflection there. I think it was Evans who just kind of got beat pretty badly. Stabbed
Yeah.
in and just went right around him, which was unfortunate. But Yeah, we tend to do that. It just laps up a little bit, and I think it was always going to happen. But I think it was important for us to score that first goal because we've seen Wycombe, when it goes deep into the first half, 0-0, or even if they have the lead, it becomes a very ugly game after that. So I think it was important for us to force the issue, score first, and that kind of forces Wycombe to actually play a modern style of watchable football. So it doesn't surprise me if they came back and tied it up. It's just a little bit of unlucky bounce.
Yeah. Well, Wycombe took the lead, and this is probably the most questionable goal of the game, for multiple different reasons, two of which comes down to officiating, which I will sort of refrain from giving the referee too much criticism for this one because it is a difficult one to call.
Yeah.
But it's a ball into the box. Poor defending initially from Sunderland. There's no getting away from that. You've got to defend that better. We've had it, the corners and set pieces in general this season have been probably our biggest weakness. And maybe not even set pieces, just crosses into the box. We haven't dealt with them. We didn't deal with this one. And it's Sam Vokes who's eventually headed it in. But the first call was a foul on Patterson, which
Yep.
I've seen people saying it isn't. But as someone that did play years and years as a keeper and played football and been in this, that, and the other, it's definitely a foul.
Yeah.
I think handling it is. He's got his arm around Patterson's left arm, which is literally impeding him. That is by definition, impeding him.
Right.
He can't really come for it with both hands, so that's a foul. Second of all, Hanlon is in an offside position when he is impeding Patterson. So whether you agree with the foul or not, he's in an offside position. He's touching Patterson, which again is impeding him in an offside position. It's a very tight offside call. He's not, yards offside. It is very tight. There's a lot of players in the box. The referee probably doesn't have the best view of it. I think the linesman would have had the best view of it, but didn't see it. But it's a tough one to take, that one.
It was a very League One goal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it was. It's just, and like we said, kind of a botched clearance, went directly straight up in the air, which happened actually a few times today. It was wet, it was raining. I'm sure the Lions just probably didn't have the best view of it, and it's just unfortunate. I saw it right from the start. Especially in the Prem, even Championship, anytime the goalie is at any point inconvenience on a play like that, they typically call it a foul.
Yeah.
And I think it should have been called there. It is unfortunate though, but yeah, we probably just should have done better, from the start with it. But it's that's just kind of what Wycombe does. They find ways to kind of drag the game down to their level and make it ugly. And that's what they did on that goal.
Yeah. No, like I said, I think that's one of them that is a foul, but you can see why it's not necessarily not why it's not being given, but why it's not being seen because it is, like I said, it's a crowded penalty area. The offside decision is literally a case of inches. If VAR is involved, which obviously it's not in League One and certainly not at Wycombe Stadium, the goal is disallowed. But we don't have that. Some go against you, some go for you. This one did go against us. You could argue, like I say, the first one went for us in terms of the own goal or Stewart's first goal. But there's also questions being asked on Twitter and other places about Patterson for the second goal. And I don't really know what people are expecting Patterson to do in that situation. I can't really see how that's his fault.
Right, especially like you said, how he was being impeded. I mean, it's like it reminded me of the NBA. Again to bring up the NBA, just getting boxed out. Basically, trying to get a rebound. That's essentially what it was. Ball straight up in the air. Goalie should have the best position on it, but he could just kind of flap at it with just one arm. Because the other arm was being held down. So yeah, I think overall, I think Patterson defined. I think early on he had a pretty decent save as well, which kind of I think settled some nerves. Just to say, okay, he's obviously in, he's locked in, and like I said, I think his time at Notts County has really prepared him for this type of moment, and it's just unfortunate there. I don't think Hoffman would have done any better for that specific goal.
I think one of the things that people said is as well, we win that game if Hoffman's in goal was one of the things that I've seen on Twitter, and people are saying Hoffman commands his area and does this, that, and the other. But one of the things that I thought of as soon as I saw that on Twitter was we lost 5-1 to Rotherham. And I think 4, possibly all 5 of them goals were from the 6-yard box where Hoffman didn't come to collect the cross. And, I'm not using that as a criticism against Hoffman because he's been very good this season. But that's just not the case at all.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because every single one of these goals was really just an ugly. It probably could have. There were several lapses and several moments where we could have cleared the ball better. It just they were just ugly goals. And most goalies, are prepared for as soon as they get deflected or as soon as the ball, goes straight up in the air. It doesn't matter who's in goal. And so, yeah, anyone saying that Hoffman would have been better, that's just hindsight. It's just, I think Patterson did fine all game.
Yeah. Sunderland did respond well. They got an equaliser, and it was probably the cleanest goal, the
Yep.
most satisfying goal of the game. Embleton with some good work down the left, put a very good ball into the middle for Stewart, who just guided it into the back of the net. Not much power
Perfect.
behind it, just
Yep.
placed it into the back of the net. Good goal, good time in the game as well. Get Sunderland back level. We've said it multiple times this season, but Ross Stewart is having a very, very good season. Like I said in one of the other podcasts, one of the things that was said about Stewart before the season started was he might not get the same goal tally that other strikers have got in previous seasons, but he'll offer more all around. But I'm starting to think he could, become the highest goal scorer in a league season the way he's going at the moment.
Absolutely. And what I like with his goals, because we saw Charlie White, right, score four goals in a game, but they were all the same exact goal. Ross Stewart, like all of his goals are something different, and it's something that not all strikers possess to be able to, feather a ball in like that, or win a header, right, win a challenge header, or put one away like we saw in the third one. But it's just that one specifically, the run that was made, he perfectly timed, lightning quick. I got in front of the defender before he could even think. And what Embleton does really well, especially those kind of lower driven balls, all it needs is a touch at that point. You don't need to, you don't need to possess it. You don't need to try to get a head on it. The ball's going fast enough. It's got enough velocity on it. Just get a deflection of any sort and it's going right in the goal. And he perfectly placed it. There's no keeper on the planet who could have saved that.
Yeah. The next one of the things that happened in the game, obviously, was, I suppose, the negative of the game. Obviously, the injury to Corey Evans, which didn't look particularly good. I don't think it is a serious injury, luckily. Didn't look too good at the time. But I suppose the only thing to really say about that is just a very speedy recovery for what, could have been a very nasty injury.
Yeah, I want to use the expression "you can't catch a break," but I think he's caught a few too many breaks of different parts of his body, and this one was a head injury, which you just don't like to see, and it was
I think the worst thing about it is obviously he missed a large part when he was
right,
with,
right.
want to say Blackburn he was with, I think it was, with a head injury. I think it was a fractured skull that he had that was mentioned. So I think that kind of made it look a little bit more serious or feel a bit more serious when it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just hope for the best and hope for a good recovery, and I think that's why this transfer window is so important. And I think we have players who can slot into that position.
Yeah.
Maybe we probably need to get one or two more, obviously. But up before that too. I mean, we're into the second half now. That was what, about the 75th minute or so.
Yeah.
I mean, up before that, though, I mean, we started that second half really well. I mean, if
Yeah.
we want to talk about those chances that were missed, I mean, we had so many opportunities to score 2 to 3 goals,
Yeah.
and really, I think this second half, prior to the injury to Evans, I mean, Pritchard just really showed his quality, and he's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the balls he was playing it was absolutely perfect.
Yeah. And just on them chances before we get into the goals, it seems crazy to say, but Sunderland could have genuinely had double figure goals today. There was three chances put on an absolute plate by Pritchard, three excellent passes through. First one to Corey Evans, as a defensive midfielder. Finishing is not, his key attribute. You could possibly do a little bit better there, but it's a through ball. Keeper's rushing out. Just gets him on it. Hope for the best. Luckily for Wycombe, the keeper saved it. Obviously, Embleton again, very poor touch after a good ball from Pritchard, and the same for Gooch. We had Ross Stewart at some point in the game. I think it was Gooch again, put a ball into the box. He's put it over. We had so many chances in that game that the fact we've come away with a point and nothing more is quite incredible.
Very Sunderland.
Very
It's
Sunderland.
just, yeah,
Going
but
back to
I
what we
think
said, almost.
yeah, right, exactly. I think the important, I mean, those as long as we are creating those chances, yeah, we're not, we're not prem level where every one of those chances is going to, result in a goal, but it's a hell of a lot more than the other teams are going to produce. And if we can just keep generating those chances, we're going to be in really good shape moving forward. It's just unfortunate that we couldn't get one of those 3 or 4 chances to kind of give us a little bit extra breathing room.
Yeah. Well, Sunderland took the lead in the 93rd 83rd minute, I think it was. Obviously, there was a lot of injury time added on. I think it was 8 or 9 minutes because of the injury to Evans and other stoppages in the game. Good ball through to Ross Stewart. The keepers came out for it. He didn't get to it. And Ross Stewart just kind of prodded it past the keeper. And it took about 5 seconds to get over the line. And I was, sat there waiting for it to see whether it was going to hit a post and bounce out or just go wide. Luckily, it went in. And again, like you said before, a very different goal to the other goals that he scored in the game. The header, the one-touch finish from a cross. Now he's making runs in behind a defence, beating defenders for pace and slotting it in the bottom corner. There's just so much that he offers, and that benefits the team so well because you don't have to just put the ball out wide and get a ball into the box. You can do that, get a ball into the box, you'll score from it. You can play it through the middle, you'll run past the defender, get a goal from it. There's so many different options that Sunderland can do creativity-wise that will benefit Stewart, will get goals from and win games this season.
Yeah, and he's loving it, and you saw it on that goal, which is just, it was incredible. The timing of it, Gooch did really well. I think it was Neil who played the ball out to Gooch, and then Gooch, really took that space well and perfectly delivered the pass with enough weight. I mean, Stewart started about 10 to 20 yards behind that play,
Yeah.
and you just saw him like hit that extra gear in those long strides. It was just so good to watch. You just seeing the whole thing happening. Like this is gonna be a goal. Like you just see the timing, the run, the pass, and it was, and just perfectly slotted past the keeper. There's not, love the scenes afterwards too, and the fans on the pitch and the flares.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, it was awesome. It was awesome for about 3 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it would have been very nice to hear the final whistle after that, and I think the mood would be completely different. It would have been a very good win for Sunderland. It looked like we'd won it. We were thinking Sunderland could never throw this away with 3 minutes left or however long was left of injury time. There's not a chance Sunderland would ever do that. We've never done that before.
No,
we absolutely did that. Exactly did that. Wycombe won a corner. It's a ball in the box again. We haven't dealt with it, just like we haven't all season, really. Their defender wins the first header. Patterson makes a save. And it's just prodded home from a rebound, which, again, it's one of them goals that it's not necessarily an individual mistake. It's not, a moment of brilliance from some world-class footballer, which, by the record, I don't think Wycombe have ever had.
Akinfenwa, excuse me.
True, very true. I do like Akinfenwa.
As soon as
why.
right, I don't know. I hate as soon as he was getting ready to come on the field. I just knew it. I just knew that something stupid was going to happen. He tries to decapitate Gooch first, and then he's always just mucking about in the middle of the field. And I don't know. Like I like him. I follow him from the socials, and he's just a unicorn of players. To be honest, he's just just a strange person. But I think really cool.
I think he's too sound of a guy to dislike as a footballer.
Like even he was trying to rip Gooch's head off, and then Gooch goes up to him right afterwards.
Starts smiling.
Like,
I think that's more about the fear, though.
He's I
think Gooch probably realised who it was, and he's like, actually.
He's like everybody's like kind of uncle. I think, especially because he's 40 years old. Jesus Christ! But yeah. I mean, just like you said, you just knew as soon as we scored, and even the 9 minutes, I was like, man, like 7 minutes, maybe 8 minutes. But as soon as I saw the 9 minutes and we took the goal, and we still had 5 minutes to see it out, you just knew it. And of course, it just had to be. And I just hate Gareth Ainsworth, seeing him jump on the back, and
he's not my favorite person.
Just can't stand them.
Yeah.
But as it is, 3-3 and a well fought for point, I guess.
Yeah. But again, third goal, questions from some people have been asked of Patterson, and it's again one of them goals. I'm like, I don't know what you're expecting. A 21-year-old keeper making, one of very few first-team appearances for the club that he came through the academy for, to do in that situation. It's a very close-range header. He makes a very good save, and there's just no one on hand to clear the ball.
Yeah, it was just a scramble, and I think Patterson did really good to get down to block the header, and it just so happened that Robertson, who was on a yellow and had a questionable tackle thing on Cooch too, that could have, or he was grabbing his shirt and stuff. Probably should have been sent off. I don't know. But of course, he was just on the ground. And the ball just bounced off him and went in. It's just like, God, it's just the ugliest of goals. And that is just so Wycombe. None of their goals had any skill to it. It's just utter League One nonsense. But that's just where we are. And until we prove that we belong elsewhere, then we're just going to have to figure it out, tighten it up. But overall, it was hard to be too upset. But you just kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah, and that's just reminded me of the actual another chance that we actually had in the game where that same player made as a 35-year-old,
Oh my
somewhat
God, that's right.
miraculous clearance off the line. He's
Karate kick, freaking! Oh my God, it's
you
just
don't think I've ever seen many clearances like that before. I mean, that's one. Again, it's one of them games that you look at and think, on another day, Sunderland could have walked away with an
yep.
8-1 win or something there because the chances we had, the goal, questionable second goal, whether it was offside and a foul, it really just was one of them days where just didn't really go our way.
Didn't at all, and could
It
have.
almost did.
Oh, but it almost did. It almost did. But yeah, it had to just be Robertson, didn't it? Just making the save, getting the yellow, pulling Gooch's shirt, and then yeah, it's just unfortunate. But it is what it is. Here we are. We're still. Are we level with Rotherham points, but just second in goal difference?
Level on points, 7 goal difference behind, I think it is, and obviously they've
Jesus.
played one less than us.
Yeah, we gave them what four of those goal
Yeah,
differences against us. So my God.
I mean that
But
goal difference is literally from Sheffield and Rotherham.
yep, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Actually, it's just from Rotherham. Actually, thinking about it, because obviously they'll have had a +4 goal difference, we'll have had a -4 goal difference, so it'll have been an 8 goal difference
yeah, true. Yeah, so.
deficit.
But on we go. When's the next game? If it doesn't
Tuesday
get called
at
off,
home to Lincoln.
I think that's good. I think it's good to we're going to be a little hard done by this one, but I don't think there's any blame, and I think that's the Lincoln's really that's the game we can't let this draw affect us twice,
We
right?
can't let Chris
Meaning,
Maguire score either.
oh,
I think
I
I'd
do miss
cry
him
if
a
that
little bit.
happened.
I miss him just a little bit, but. It's just yeah, but yeah, Tuesday. I think it now becomes an ultra important game. Gotta take care of business there.
Oh. Player ratings we'll rattle through pretty quickly before we
Yep.
wrap it up. Patterson, like I say, made some good saves in the game. Made a very good save in the first half. Again, close range save. Made a good save for the third goal, which some people are questioning for. I think it's a good save down to his left. Very close range. If you were going to be super critical of a 21-year-old academy prospect League One goalkeeper, you could say he could possibly parry that somewhere else. But like I say, that would be super critical of him. I'd probably go with a high 6, I think.
Right. I think so as well. I don't. He didn't make any blunders. Just real quick, did you see that Remy Matthews highlight that was going around on Twitter? I think it was Remy Matthews. Or anyways, it's just an absolute horrible goal given up,
Yeah.
and he didn't do anything like that. I mean, all these goals were really just
He looked
dumb.
very confident.
Right. Yeah, and I think he should be. I think he's been playing really well. I think he's done well. Like I even think I don't know. Our goalkeeper depth is in a really good spot, I think.
Yeah.
And seeing that our third choice goalkeeper came in and didn't embarrass himself, I think that's well done by the scouting team, goalkeeper coach. I'd say a 6. Sorry to
Yeah.
get distracted there. But.
Winchester back at right back today. Obviously, Bailey Wright was injured. Diaku has COVID. So kind of a forced change. A few people were kicking off that Hume wasn't starting. Trey Hume, that is. But, he's had 1, possibly 2 training sessions with a brand new team in a brand new country in a brand new league. I don't think anyone really expected him to be in the squad today, let alone start. So Winchester was back at right back. Didn't do anything wrong. Didn't particularly do anything spectacular. Had a couple of decent shots saved by Stockdale for Wycombe. So again, 6.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I think this was the one position where I realized like we really need the depth there because I think he would have done better in the midfield.
Yeah.
He just looked a little leggy just at times, and I think it was just because Wickham does have some decent pace on those wings. But I think the coverage was really well to support him. I think he only got beat a few times or just kind of misjudged a few bounces, but he's playing out of position, played well. Yeah, a 6 I think is warranted.
Yeah. Tom Flanagan, up and down game for him today, I think. Made some very good blocks. Quite crucial part of the game. Close range blocks, probably stopping a goal or two potentially. But at the same time, there was at least twice where he kind of overran the ball and lost it, and gave Wycombe an opportunity to get in behind and create something of a goal scoring opportunity. Luckily, they didn't on them 2 occasions. A couple of clearances that he mishit. So like I say, a very 50-50 performance from him. So I'd probably go with a 6 again.
Yeah, I really like. All season he's been great. He really has been really good. I think today was kind of summed it up, like why we need someone like him against opposition like Wycombe, who are just big and physical, aren't gonna play the ball around you by any means. They're just gonna try to run right through you. And I think he held his own pretty well. Didn't let any of the tackles get to his head. He made some really nice, kind of toward the end line, just tackling it out for corners and a lot of no nonsense clearances. But yeah, there was one or two where he tried to clear the ball and it went straight up in the air. But it was wet, it was rainy. It was one of those games. But yeah, no critical errors, no stupid yellow cards or anything. I don't think. Yeah, I think we only had one yellow today. So I think overall he did pretty well.
Yeah. Callum Doyle again. Don't really want to repeat this for everyone, but did nothing spectacular. Wasn't noticed too much. Defended fairly well. Drove forward with the ball a few times quite well as well. So again, 6.
Yeah, and I just anytime he puts the ball forward, I just love it. When
Yeah.
he he just glides with the ball. Like your mate says, is like get him in the midfield. If we're up on the last day of the season, clear for promotion, obviously as we should be, chuck him in midfield. Just do it. That'd be awesome. So yeah, he plays well. He's just big and physical, which is nice. I think he only got beat maybe once or twice, but recovered well. And the back line is just very seamless. Even with Bailey Wright out, who I think probably would have made a little bit of a difference because he is the perfect opposition to the big shit houses that that Wycombe has. Would have been nice, but yeah, I think the back line played really well, and I think Doyle fit in there. Once again, he is the ultimate 6, and I think he wears number 6, right? So does he? Yeah, right. Am I just making this up?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So
Never really thought about it, to be honest. Dennis Sergan, back in at left back today. Got the assist for the own goal. So I'm not actually sure if he'll get credited with that assist if it goes down as an own goal. But nonetheless, very good ball in the box. And I think he had one very shortly after as well, which was very similar. Defended fairly well on his side whenever Wycombe came forward. A couple of times he could have done a little bit better or, shown his winger wide or got a little bit closer to the ball, but generally did well. So I'd probably say 7 for Sergan.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he just kind of looks like a good footballer as well. I know that just seems so dumb, but yeah, he just looks the part. He looks very confident, especially for someone who's had an extended period of time out. It's very important that we have someone like him in our squad for sure, to play that position. I think he played it really well, and I expect that position to probably be his moving forward. Right? I mean, who's he filling in for today?
I think Sebi was trying to tell you there.
Yeah, jeez, I know. Tell me more.
I mean, in theory, Dayaku, I think.
Is it?
It depends. Like I said, I still don't know how Sunderland have lined up in the last few weeks, whether it's been back 4, back 3. To me, it's always been Gooch and Dayaku as a wing back, and then a back 3 of Wright, Flanagan, and Doyle. So either Dayaku or Gooch, and most certainly not Denver Hume.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, and I think he slotted it well. I don't think Diaku would have brought anything really to this game, to the style. It just shows that it's good that we can be versatile in our setup. Yeah, this one was a little bit more forced, but there's going to be other games where Diaku obviously is going to be the better option because we just need someone to put the ball past him and go score. But a game like this, we need a little bit more finesse to it. You need somebody who's more defensive minded. I think it would have been the right decision even if we had a full fit squad, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think Serkin did really well.
Yeah. Corey Evans obviously started the game today, did fairly well. Could have scored a goal, didn't. A few times he was caught out in possession, but with the way we compress and the way they defend is not necessarily to not be expected. So I'd probably say 6.
A lot of 6s today. Yeah, he just played his role well, and we just hope for the best. With that injury, it's not going to be easy, and I'm expecting him to probably miss a good chunk of time, even just for concussion protocol and safety and things like that. But with his history with the head fracture, yeah, I think we'll be missing him. But I think that's where Winchester's going to slot into that position.
Yeah.
Hume, one of the Humes, who knows? On all Hume back line, we'll fill in the spots there.
Yeah. Daniel, again, not really much to say. Didn't do anything particularly well, nothing particularly bad. 6.
Yeah, 6. Made some nice passes. Didn't give the ball away, I don't think, too easily. He's just always just so confident in the ball. And every game, you just
Yeah.
kind of see it more and more. You just almost wish we could find a way to get him even more upfield. But I think he's playing his role really well, and he's starting to understand the game a lot. So yeah, 6.
Yeah. Lyndon Gooch got the assist for Stewart's third goal / second goal / whatever goal you want to name it. But Sunderland's third goal of the game. Generally quite frustrating during the game, I think, quite wasteful in possession, as we've said quite a few times this season. So again, 6.
It is the Lyndon Gooch experience where one moment you're, what are you doing? And then the next moment he's playing in the winning goal. It's just, there's no in between with him. And he tries hard. He really played well, getting back, really ran hard, as he always does. But it is definitely a 6. Once again, we're going to agree on most of these, but I think it's hard to justify anything otherwise. I think everyone played well enough.
Yeah. Embleton, very unlucky not to get a goal. Another chance that I didn't mention, which, this is slowly becoming a chance for 12 goals in the game now that I remember more of them. Left foot effort off the bar. Again, on another day that hits the bar and goes in, and Sunderland win the game and go top the league. It wasn't to be, almost, which could be the title of this podcast, to be honest, that amount of times I've said it.
Right.
But again, 6.
I'm going to give him a 7. I think he played really well. He had an assist, right? He had the assist, he had the almost goal. Even had to slide into a different position, but he was always there or thereabouts. He played the ball really well. He could have even had another opportunity for a goal where he just didn't get the right first touch on the ball from Pritchard, but he was in the right spots. He's making the right runs. But I think he played worthy enough of a 7 today, to be honest. I think he really could have been the ultimate difference maker, but played his role really well today.
Yeah. Pritchard, I will go with an 8. Like I say, made 3, possibly 4 excellent chances. These aren't half chances. These are putting a player through one-on-one, and you should be scoring the chances that we've made. It's all about that first touch, which we got wrong on 3 different occasions, which is ultimately what cost us 2 points, questionably today. But in terms of just Pritchard's performance, like I say, he created so many chances. It was very difficult to get off the ball. Led the press well with Stewart, so I'd go with an 8.
Absolutely, yeah. No, he's just incredible. He really is, and you can just tell he is a level above. And I think even the commentator said that today. Just a really good bit of scouting. I think it's those type of players, and we might see it with Patrick Roberts if this ever becomes finalized. But kind of these players who had their chances, they had their time in the sun, but just never really found their home. He's absolutely found his home here, and I want to keep him forever, as long as however long he has. Players like him and Stewart, I mean, just like fantastic signings. When you think about our previous signings, like Josh Gowan, who unfortunately was a thorn in our side a little bit today toward the end. But yeah, just look at the upgrade there, and there's not a ball he can't play. Crafty with getting the ball as well, winning possession. So yeah, 8 definitely.
And last but not least, Ross Stewart. Technically, in my eyes, not necessarily the most important eyes in terms of the goal adjudicators. I think that's the word.
Fair enough, yeah.
But essentially got a hat trick today, second in a row, and the second goal I think was with his right foot, wasn't it? Was it with his right foot?
I think the third goal was. He's following
the third goal was. I think the second goal was as well. So he was close to another perfect hat trick. Didn't quite get it today, but definitely going to be credited with 2 goals. Unlikely to get the third, but worked hard throughout. Finished his chances well, bar 1 in the second half, which he could probably have done better with. Took a bounce before it got to him, so it's a little bit difficult. So 9.
9. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, if it would have been the winning goal, which it really should have been, probably even a 10, to be honest. I just love him. He just, the way he plays, and he looks really fit right now as well. With the amount of games that he's played is tough to say at this point, but maybe some of these extended breaks and these call-offs have been good for him. He just looks really fit, and he just loves it. Especially him and Pritchard after that goal, seeing him kind of in each other's faces and just really loving it. And even the way I think on the second goal he hushed the Wycombe crowd. I just love it, man. He's just so good.
Yeah. Well, Tuesday, Lincoln at home. Score predictions for that one?
3-1, and the one goal for them is going to be a Chris Maguire. It's going to be a classic. Exactly. That it'll be in the 80th minute or 90th minute. Yeah, but it'll be him, and
Yeah.
you'd love to see it. But 3-1, I think it just has to be 3 points. I don't care how it is, So hopefully
Yeah.
we get some negative tests back, and maybe even see Trey Hume.
Yeah, hopefully so. But anyway, that's the time we have for today because I need to shoot. I'll get this up straight away as soon as possible. Appreciate you coming on again, Kyle.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll be back to talk about the Lincoln game on Wednesday. Hopefully a win and hopefully another game to add to this unbeaten streak that we're on currently. But until then, we will see you later.
That's all, folks.